Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Piyush Raj, who is the co-founder of Bridgentech, which is solving IT team augmentation challenges through trust-based hiring. Hi Piyush, welcome to ELI.
Hi, I'm very happy to have joined this program with you, Priya, and thank you for hosting me today.
I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Yeah, for those who are uninitiated, I am Piyush Raj Akhouri, and I am the co-founder of Bridgentech. Bridgentech is a startup which came into existence in 2017, which was sitting in my head since 2015.
Okay.
And in the last 4 years, we have scaled our business from scratch to revenues of more than $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
And we are actively focusing on trust-based hiring, especially in the post-pandemic world, where people are leaving left, right, and center and changing and switching jobs.
Mm.
How and what should the employers do to become better employers, and what and how should the employees behave to become better employees, to get recognition, growth, and mutual growth for their overall career.
Mm-hmm.
So with that model, we have initiated and we have worked, and we are headquartered in Paris. We
Okay.
are having offices in Rotterdam. We are having offices in Sao Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
And our entire delivery happens from India in Hyderabad.
Mm-hmm.
And I am right now speaking to you from Hyderabad, where I am located since the pandemic times.
Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
to set the context, can you help us understand what is trust-based hiring?
Well, I think the biggest challenge what the employers and the employee face is that once they are switching a job, they just don't know what to expect on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
The employer may be having a great interview with the employee,
Right.
and he might be thinking that, okay, fine, I have made a perfect hire.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets the guy comes on board, and he realizes this is the biggest pain I have seen in my life. I mean, I
Mm.
don't want that in it at all. And
Okay.
the same thing can happen also to the employee, right? He may have an amazing interview, amazing information about the company before he has joined. And then if he gets to see this is not helping, then this is not helping, right?
Mm.
So in our model, basically, what we ensure is that the employers are hiring not only great individuals
Mm-hmm.
and great skill sets, but they are actually looking for people who grow together.
Okay.
So having said that, we have devised a methodology which is called a 5F philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
This is our own framework, which basically helps in figuring out 5 different things. That is focus, fit, filter, find, and flex.
Mm-hmm.
Using these 5 different methodologies on how to look for guys who are not only active but also passively looking out for a change, actually giving enough time for the employee and employer to work together on something just as like a hobby or something in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and then eventually making sure that they are getting pre-vetted candidates who have given thorough interviews over proper video recordings, and who have given proper assignments to deliver on.
Mm-hmm.
And based on that, we give them a far better filtration to choose from.
Okay.
So an employer will end up interviewing not more than 4 candidates from our side, and he
Mm.
will have the similar results what he would be having from 20 different resumes sourced from 20 different portals.
Mm-hmm.
We do the half of the journey for them. We share the risk with them. We share the commitment. We share the delivery model if it is a contract to hire model.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, we basically are calling it trust-based hiring, because trust is the most important part on this one. If you believe that the company might be good, then give it a try. If you believe that the employee might be good, then give it a try for a certain period,
Mm-hmm.
enter into a contract, and if everything goes right, then after a certain period of time, you both can just live and happily live each other. It's more like a shadi.com for recruitment. You can think of it that way. But we
Okay.
are giving enough time to date.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So one big question here. So lately we have been seeing lot of attrition, especially in the IT team, in the segment in which you are working. So can you tell us what is the core reason behind so much, transition from one role to another, candidates being very versatile, and what is the right term? They're just changing very frequently. What is the core reason behind it?
The reason behind it is very simple. There are three big factors. Suddenly, the digital acceleration has happened.
Mhm.
People realize in the pandemic stage, the organizations realize that it is not going to help if we don't make things easy for remote. If we don't actually go and become more and more digital with time, and
Mhm.
we need to get the pace faster because we are more reliant on people working from different situations, different environments.
Mm-hmm.
So all the technology has to change. There is a huge amount of digital transformation which is already pending for the growth, worldwide technology growth. And the third part was that the remote workplace management actually made things easier.
Mm.
So because of that, now everybody, once they're at their home and they're sitting and they're realizing that there are two options when I'm not working, right? I can go ahead and watch Netflix, I can spend time with my family,
Mm.
or I can figure out and maybe look out for something which I actually like to do.
Mm.
And when there are plenty of opportunities, then there are going to be plenty of applicants, right?
Right.
And that is what has exactly caused the great resignation. That's exactly what is happening here. So in that sense, all the guys who are just running away, some of them are not even running away for salaries.
Mm.
Some of them are already getting so much good hikes that they have never thought of this because there is suddenly a huge scarcity for certain technology domains.
Mm-hmm.
And having said that, because of this movement towards cloud and transition of everything and all services towards cloud, this overall productivity of a software development process itself has gone up.
Okay.
So all the reasons point to one thing, right? I mean, the unassumingly increasing demand, what we are looking at, is something which is not going to stop for at least next 1.5 year,
Mm-hmm.
provided that the recession doesn't come this year.
Okay. Okay.
And because of that surge, you can clearly be assuming that the salaries are going to be going up by almost 100% for the
Mm.
guys who are actually performing well, and at least 50% for the guys who are even survivable. So that's a good times for IT employees and not so great times for IT employers.
Mm. You spoke about remote hiring, and I think there has been a lot of hype around. Some people are just pro remote, and some people are just pro office model, and there has been a tussle between the employers and employees as well. Some employers want their employees to come to office, and some employees are just giving remote work as one of the benefits of the whole employment package. So can you tell us what is your view on remote work, and what is the future? Do you see the entire industry moving 100% remote, or how do you see the future?
I don't think that it will be a proper binary answer. It will not never be a zero or one. There
Mm-hmm.
has to be all the shades of gray on this one because some organizations already trusted their people. Some
Mm.
organizations already had the policy that if you want to take a work from home for something serious, if there is something which is more pressing at home, you can work from home.
Mm-hmm.
And there are good examples there, right? There are companies like Oracle who have already had this policy working for them. Salesforce had this policy working for them. But
Mm-hmm.
then there were these guys, and we have had this inherent Indian culture that the boss is the god and the employee is the subservient servant.
Mm.
And that had to change. I mean, if you cannot trust your employees, then why hire them?
Mm.
Why exactly do you require a person to sit in your room in front of you, do exactly what you ask him to do,
Mm.
especially for a job which is not requiring a dictation like that?
Mm.
They are not building bricks for you, right? They're not building manufacturing items, right, so that they have to be in office. It's a
Exactly.
digital product, and if they are able to communicate, it is fine. But again, talking from the employer side of things, if you see, then some of the employees have really taken very bad advantage of that fact as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some of them are not only doing moonshining, they are really not being productive. They are giving unrealistic timelines of delivery. They're
Mm.
committing for 5 days and finishing it in 15 days.
Mm.
They are canceling meetings because of citing sickness reasons, and they are doing it in 3 times a day to three different managers. And there have been cases we have been hearing. So we are members to High C, we are members to NASCOM, and we keep
Mm.
having these discussions that okay, this is a big problem to deal with. So
Mm.
while the employers need to change their mentality of having more trust in the employees by actually giving it a try,
Mm.
and the employees also need to understand that if they have gotten an opportunity to get this much flexibility, they need to respect and honor it.
Mm.
And so the best place scenario for this, where I see this going, is that there will be a fluidity in how you can deliver your services as an employee, but it will never be a permanent work from home and it will never be a permanent work from office.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if there is a necessity, you can always have a few weeks or few months working from home. And if there is a necessity, you can always have a few weeks or few months working from office. But that is entirely depending on how much trust do the employer and employee have it. I'm not trying to plug in Bridgentech here, but trust, now you understand why it is so important.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that is the right answer to it. So on a from employees' point of view, I understand some employees do prefer going to office and some employees do prefer the remote mode. But on an aggregator level, employers have both set of employees, and uh, they can either go remote or either go office model, because it's not, the pandemic is more or less gone. So they can continue, they can choose to go with any of these models. But on a very aggregate level, which one do you see is more sustainable, profitable, and beneficial for an employer?
Okay, let me put in front of you the perspectives, right? First side, if you think of things, then if the employees entirely stop going to office, the entire infrastructure of having offices in the large cities will be gone. Now, what
Mm,
is the point of paying lakhs and crores of rupees for a particular office space where people are not visiting?
mm,
If that is not happening, how are you going to deal with the taxi operators and the cab operators who are actually getting paid because of that? Their revenue is gone.
mm,
So entire work from home is actually very bad for the economy as well, right?
mhm,
You need to keep things churning, right? If you cannot stop everything and suddenly you cannot demolish the buildings and you cannot sell off the cars,
mm,
you cannot make you have to also think of people, the cleaning staff, you have to think of the security staff and everybody who has to be let gone if the office is closed down permanently.
mm,
So that is definitely not a solution. But on the other hand, if the companies also start to realize that we can have some small satellite centers across cities where my guys are working,
mm,
then it can be a great model of holistic growth for the economy, right?
mm,
That is where I see that some of the companies are actively considering it, and some of the companies are, these are going to be the companies who are going to really benefit.
mm,
The companies who completely go by the I will, you have to come to office or you have to die a painful death, they will be seeing the, the tough part here. Because take an example,
mm,
Byju's White Hat Junior, it was acquired by them.
mm.
I recently was reading in the news that 800 employees have quit because they were forced to go back to office.
Okay.
And 800 is not a small number,
Mm,
for the simple reason they were all getting paid well. I know the salaries, the ranges from the market standards, and White Hat Junior is a top payer. But still,
mm.
if people are quitting, it means that they have got some better alternatives
Right.
available to them now, and the market is also supporting it to an
Yeah,
extent.
and they are all good employees, I presume, who quit.
Absolutely, they're all good employees and they're all great employees, and most of them, if they would have quit, not everybody goes out of emotion. They must have
Mm,
gotten a better offer.
absolutely.
They must have gotten an offer of staying back at home and working.
Absolutely.
Right.
Uh, Now, let's come back to the problem and solution side of your venture. So you mentioned about the framework of five components. So can you please elaborate a little further? What is the framework, and how do you evaluate a candidate on various parameters?
This is what I would call as a 5F philosophy. It's a strategy framework we worked on in hiring, that employees and employers cannot be just looking into each other through just the CVs,
Mm-hmm.
and they cannot be judging each other just on the basis of interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are searching for an employer, because our client is the employer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The resource is somebody who we are finding for them. So
Okay.
when thinking for that from that perspective, we focused on these 5 F's. The
Mm-hmm.
first F is focus. The focus is that you should not only figure out on how do I fill this position, but you should be figuring out on that what is the career path and progression path for this particular role.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that is about short-term sustainability and long-term focus.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes the second F, which is about finding. F, find. Now, when you are finding, then you don't only need to actively look for people who are available to join within 15 days, or people who are available to join, who are actively looking out for a change, or who are serving notice period.
Mm-hmm.
Or you should always look for passive candidates. You should always look for people who are more relevant to you from the industry perspective, more relevant to you from the interest perspective as well. And these people, not all of them have updated their resumes on Naukri.com and Monster.com.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are available on social media, these guys are available on GitHub, they're available on Stack Overflow, and you have to see that if they are great developers, then what exactly have they achieved? What exactly have they done great? Now, not all companies can see through it. I understand that. But thanks to our in-house technology, we are able to go through that and figure out that this is the overall profile of the person we are looking for. So
Okay.
finding the right and relevant candidates is the second aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Third one is about the filtration part. Now, in the industry, the unfortunate reality is that there are many bogus resumes coming in.
Mm.
There are many fake candidates giving in for interviews. There are people, as if like I am speaking to you, right? There will be somebody speaking in the behind through a
Mm.
video conferencing module, and you will feel, and the other person will be lip syncing, and the interview will happen like that. And we have
Mm.
had instances of such kind of interviews. And that is something where you need to have a very excellent filtration strategy, where you are
Mm.
able to do the assessment correctly, where you are able to do the remote interviews correctly, where you are able to actually do the coordination end to end to decide if the guy really meets the standards of what the organization is. So
Mm-hmm.
understand to the depth of what is right and requirement for the organization to have, and understand to the depth of what is the real personality of the person you should be looking for. So
Mm-hmm.
right filtration is the third element.
Okay.
The fourth one talks about the fitment model. Sometimes the guys are not thinking through the whole process of hiring. And sometimes, especially with our international clients, they hire somebody, they have him in their country, and after 6 months, they realize he is not a culture fit.
Mm.
We have got some clients in Germany and France, and these guys are very culturally strong, right? They
Mm-hmm.
have their inherent culture, their inherent language, and they expect the other person to move to their country and adapt to their culture.
Mm.
Now, nobody is expecting them to learn German in the first 3 months or in the first 6 months. They're not expecting that. But they are expecting the other person to start respecting some of the codes they believe in, like coming to office on time,
Mm.
right? Like not missing on deadlines, like actually working with them as if they're a part of the team. If somebody is going out for a team outing and it is by choice, it is not by force, then opting out every time may also look very impolite to them, right?
Yep.
And that is where we are talking about the right fitment. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't only provide intercultural training, we also help them with the language issues. We ensure that the people who are moving from India to Europe or India to US through Bridgentech are given that right training so that they don't miss out on the growth path the moment they are off the grid here.
Mm.
So we give them that opportunity. If you made your mind to build a career outside India, you better do a fantastic job at it.
Okay.
That is about fitment. And the fifth one is absolutely about flexing. Sometimes the guys don't want to move out as soon as the client wants.
Mm.
Sometimes the client doesn't want the guys to come soon, but they want them to come in like small batches. Come for 2 months to Germany, come back again, and after 2, 3 rounds, we'll take a decision to hire you fully. And these models are not available with any other client in the world right now. We
Mm.
make that happen. We make that happen like an IT services company. We make that happen like an IT recruitment company. And because we are somewhere a hybrid of a IT recruitment and IT services company, given that we provide contract to hire staff,
Mm-hmm.
we give that flexibility. And that is why the fifth element of flex. So there are five: focus, find, filter, fit, and flex. And based on these five, basically, we have built our framework and we have built our entire product strategy around the same thing. And it is helping, it is giving very good results as well. Clients love us for that, what we do.
Okay. Now let's go back to the day one of or day zero of building this venture. So can you tell us how did it all start when this idea came to your head?
It happened after 6 years of failure of my last startup.
Okay.
I
Tell us
am
about it.
not I am not a first time successful guy. When I finished so I am a mechanical engineer with my first education,
Mm-hmm.
and I did my MBA from SPJ in Mumbai, and I
Okay.
was living and working in Germany for a while before I decided to jump into entrepreneurship. I left a very well-paying job
Okay.
and took that, and I thought it is a great move.
Mm.
And I was only having 4 years of experience at that point of time.
Mm.
It was a not so great decision because not many people are looking out for a management consultant with 4 years of experience who can
Mm.
talk to CXOs and give them deals. Today I can do that. Maybe after 15 years I've crossed, I can give it a try, but definitely not when I was a 4 years experience guy.
Mm.
That 1 year, I made some revenues. I made significantly more than what I would have made as an employee, but I had no growth plan. I had no growth prospect, and that failure was bound to happen.
Okay.
So I closed my startup down, and
Okay. What was the startup
next,
around?
we were into trading. We were into international trading,
Okay.
And that was somehow the idea behind actually making sure that if goods can move, then later why can't people move? Because people also move with sentiments, right?
Mm.
We are talking about migration, we are talking about immigration here, we are talking about international placements and remote working. So
Mm-hmm.
then that period of 7 years when I worked across the corporate and tried to get my feet back on the ground, and when I grew through the roles, that idea was seeping in my head, and it was sleeping. Every time when I sleep, I see that dream that I have to rebuild this whole thing, and this time I have to be right and correct about that.
Mm.
But luckily, when the second time venture was starting, I was not alone. My co-founder is my wife. My co-founder is my best friend from France,
Okay.
and I had been discussing the idea with them. One of them was my colleague, and one of them was my wife, obviously, right? And she came from the HR background.
Mm.
So I spoke to her and I asked her that why don't you start that? I am right now bringing some food in the family, and you are anyways a HR person who is already doing this kind of work. So let me give it a proper shape. And the moment we see the right time, I will quit my existing job and I will jump into it.
Mm.
So it was not a momentary decision that there is a first day of happening. These
Okay.
days I have lived in hours across the years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when once I took the jump, then in the last 1.5 2 years, we have seen significant growth in the people we work with, the number of clients, the diversity of work what we do,
Okay.
and yeah, the entire growth story took from there. So we did not jump into it right away. We took calculated risk because
Okay.
we come from a very middle class family where we have got our priorities right in our head. I'll say we have got also to ensure that we are putting food on the table. At
Mm.
the same time, we are keeping our dreams alive.
Mm. Okay. Curious to know what made you uh, quit your first job in the first place. Why did you quit?
Hunger, hunger for growth. If you can do something better for that guy who you are working for, and you can do that with all the happiness and all the ambition, and you realize that if you would have done this for yourself, it would have been significantly more rewarding. Now,
Mm.
this is something which doesn't happen to everybody. That is exactly that recall is the reason why you actually quit your first job.
Right.
Because your parents always wanted you to become an engineer. मेरा बेटा engineer बनेगा, मेरा बेटा MBA करेगा, मेरा
Mm.
बेटा बढ़िया corporate job पकड़ेगा. कर
True.
लिया, अभी अगला क्या है?
Yeah. So true.
Right? What's the next thing which I have to do now? अभी उनका बेटा बड़ा हो गया, अभी उनके बेटे को figure out करने दो.
Mm.
And this is exactly where we enter the game. This is exactly where you start having those dreams of entrepreneurship. कि
Mm.
अब आपका बेटा सब कुछ करेगा जो उसका दिल करेगा.
Mm.
And that's exactly where we all start. I believe you are from Odisha, right?
Yes, that is true.
I am your neighbor. I am from Jharkhand.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, entrepreneurship, you make it sound like a cool thing to do, but I'm quite sure there are a lot of challenges. So, can you speak about some of the major challenges that you have faced along the way?
Everything, if you think of it that way, then we have this smiling, happy face because the business has worked out. But that constant fear of things not working out is what makes you gray your hair at the age of 36,
Hmm.
right? And that stress is also the reason that somehow you start losing out on your health. There have been challenges. We have seen businesses coming and growing and shrinking, and we have seen clients somehow being sometimes unhappy because of the total external reasons that we did a fantastic job in hiring, but the last moment the guys didn't show up. We
Hmm.
have seen scenarios where the people we have identified turned out to be two timing and working for two different organizations. We have seen such scenarios. We have seen that there was not enough money to pay for the salaries, and
Okay.
then we have seen the times when we had to also go for a personal loan immediately to fund that, right?
Mhm.
So but you always get that thing positive about that when you are working with your own family member. My wife was my partner, right?
Mhm.
When she has the trust in you and you have the trust in her, I think that is the right foundation of building. And so it doesn't matter if she's a wife. What matters is that I got a right co-founder. In
Hmm.
that sense, we have the trust with each other. We had the full faith in believing what we are trying to do will work out,
Hmm.
and that kept us going. So yes, there have been significant financial challenges. There have been times which we now, when we think, we shiver off. But then again, we are sitting here in this call because all of that net sum is positive.
Okay. That brings me to my next question. Now that you have achieved so much and gone this far, what is the way forward? What is your vision about your venture?
Well, as an organization, we are now focusing more on the product side of things. We are trying to build products for our clients, as well as we are trying to build some very good products and recruitment for ourselves.
Okay.
We are not going to build something that's run of the mill, what everybody else is doing. We are making our entire process into a product. Okay. And once it is launched in the market, there will be enough noise you'll be hearing on. So that's on the growth front. We plan to acquire, we plan to diversify across countries, because we understand that if a guy in the US is looking forward to work with people immediately who can work in their time zone, then there is no harm that if you provide a guy from Mexico or Canada.
Right.
And so outsourcing is no longer a function of just cost arbitrage. It's a function of getting the right people from the right mindset in the right organizations. With that theory, we are going very aggressively forward. And this year, we plan to achieve at least 150 employees. We are right now at 70, and we are aggressively hiring across the roles. If some of your viewers or some of your people are looking out for a good job, they're free to join us and apply for a position.
Okay. What would you say is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How do you define the term entrepreneur?
Well, entrepreneur is slightly different from a businessman. I know the words are the same, but when you think of the word entrepreneur, right, what comes to my mind is that you saw an opportunity, you saw a gap or a hole in the market, and you tried to fix it. And you did it much faster than what a traditional business would have taken, right? I will call that, as long as you are building bhujia for another 60, 70 years in a one particular shop and becoming great name there, you may be just like Haldiram's. But the moment you start scaling across places and you start diversifying, you start the factory model in delivering bhujia, that is entrepreneurship. So to me, it is all about creating value and creating value at a faster pace. It is about creating value for all the sides of the stakes, not only for the clients, but also for your people, the community you give back to. This batch you are seeing is a Lions Club batch. I'm a Melvin Jones fellow at Lions Club, and we do a lot back to the society. We ensure that at least 5% of the profits what we are making as a business are gone back to the community in teaching students, in helping the underprivileged in learning. Everybody is helping you to go ahead and learn till class 6th or 7th or 10th or matriculate. But unfortunately, in Indian scenario, with so much of scarcity of good opportunities for people who have not so much education, if you push them till graduation, right, you trust me, your value addition will be significantly higher. So while they let the government focus on getting people trained till class 10th, we can always focus on helping some of these individuals who really deserve to go ahead and graduate and get better positions than they would have gotten if they would just matriculate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what we work in. That's what is my definition of entrepreneurship. That's where how I contribute back to the society.
My final question for you. Tell us about the lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur that we can take away and apply to our ventures as well.
Oh, sure. I think my first learning from the entrepreneurship experience is don't give up so fast. Because sometimes it may not happen as per the pace you are expecting it to be. But there is no reason for you to get lost. These are all external factors. But if you lose patience and if you lose your hope, then I think you have lost the game. Then you better play a new game or otherwise. But one thing which you cannot really compromise is that if you give up, then the whole idea is gone. So don't give up. And the second thing would be that it is not always going to be that much glory. It is going to be ups and downs. And you have to brace for that. You have to, in your strategy itself, you have to keep some space for failures. So take calculated risks. That is the best way to go for. Follow your heart, but keep your eyes and your mind open.
Okay.
That's what I can say from my side. And this is something which I have learned out of my experiences. I can go ahead and quote some random people from the internet, but I don't want to do that.
Okay. On this note, I think we are at the end of our discussion. Thanks for your time, Piyush, and I would say my best wishes for Bridgentech.
Thank you so much, and keep looking out for us. And thank you so much for hosting us on the show, Priya. It was very nice talking to you as well.
Likewise.